I'm honored to be up here. I'm Ann Ford, Vice President of Facilities Operations, Redevelopment, Information Technology, and your Chief Privacy Officer. It's hard to get out in one word. So again, I'm honored to be here to help folks take a look at the space and begin to share this wonderful new space that we have here. I'm sure there's a few of you either online or in the audience who might have worked at Etobicoke General for a while and were wondering if anything like this was ever going to come to happen. New patient spaces. Well, today you're going to be able to see that we have some fabulous new patient spaces that will take care of our patients for many, many years to come. So again, welcome. So to start us off, and for those of you who are going to take the tour, and for those of you online, I'm hoping that if you're not here today, you can come back on Thursday and do the tour. What can you expect to see today? Well, we have a number of different spaces, both clinical and non-clinical. You'll see in a new emergency department, a maternal newborn unit that contains our level 2 neonatal intensive care unit, a combined critical care unit, and when I say combined, it means we have ICU and cardiac care, critical care there, an ambulatory procedures unit, which is downstairs, and outpatient diagnostic clinics, including cardio, respiratory, neuro diagnostics. You'll see patient rooms that look completely different than what we have here at Etobicoke, but also what we have at Brampton Civic. And much, much more. You can see in the atrium here, we have a gift shop, we have center registration, we're going to move our cafeteria down, so lots of other types of spaces. So how does this campus look today and where is it going to go in the future? The big picture you see here on the screens is our master plan for the site. You can see the red block, that's kind of where we are today in the new building. We do have separate parking and an entrance for emergency now. It's off to my left, but my left is also west of the building. We have a new main entrance. You're in the new main entrance of the entire campus. We have easy access to the Wellness Center. The Wellness Center is just north of us here, and there is access on a bridge between the two buildings, so great access both for patients and staff to move between our more acute areas and our outpatient services that we have in our physician's offices that we have in the Wellness Center. And then more patient and visitor parking. Parking always comes up in every conversation, but if you've been at Etobicoke for a while, or if you haven't been at Etobicoke for a while, you'll notice that our old medical office building has now been demolished, and that there's a large swath of dirt right now. Well, that large swath of dirt will actually be our new parking lot, so that will extend our patient and visitor parking out front. I forgot to switch the slide. Sorry about that. So in every project, and you know we've had a few, Brampton Civic, Peel Memorial, this one now over the last 12 years, we experience a lot of new things, and we learn from every project that we're doing. So this project, you'll see that some of our learnings are coming to fruition. Learnings from what our patients have told us, learnings from what our staff have told us, and then what's happened to technology over time. So you'll see some state-of-the-art systems. Well, you may not see them, but they are there. So a real-time locating system. This is to help us with patient wandering. So for those of you at Brampton, we know that we had a code yellow today. This will help us actually find patients if they happen to wander out of their unit. An infant abduction system. And that sounds scary, and you never want this system to be implemented, but the hug system will now be in place to help us with any infants who are going in between both the old and the new building for infant abduction. And then asset management. So all of our assets, our capital assets, chairs, stretchers, pumps, are all barcoded, and we'll be able to use this system to help folks find the pump when they can't find it. We've also put in some fairly sophisticated camera technology from a security perspective. So this is all new state-of-the-art technology that's coming down the pack. Energy management. Sustainability for us is one of our key design guidelines. It's also one of our key strategic goals for our organization over the number of coming years. As we all know, energy is becoming more expensive. We all know that there are different forms now of energy that can help us get away from using so many fossil fuels. So integrated within our building's automated system, we have lighting and temperature controls that actually are automatic. So from a lighting perspective, we had a little bit of this appeal, but again, it's been upgraded here. When the sun moves, certain areas will heat up and others will cool down. We're able to modulate the temperatures in this building depending upon where the heat is coming from and where the heat loss is coming from. So it will modulate itself, and we don't have to have anyone running around messing with thermostats and those sorts of things. And then OR integration systems, and for those of you who might be in surgery will know what this is, but an OR integration systems allows us to control many, many factors and variables within an OR while that OR is being used for patient care. So again, things like lighting and temperature, music, we can control the music, and it's all controlled from the central nursing station within that room. So all of the systems within that OR are integrated into one place. So we did have a number of guiding principles in these projects to support both our design and our operational aspects of how the units are being used. I'll go through a few of these in the next few slides. Patient-friendly is huge for us. No one wants to be in the hospital, so how do we help patients feel more comfortable while they're in the hospital? And by helping them feel more comfortable and providing them with a few things, they actually will heal faster. Evidence-based research tells us this. So we've done things like multiple windows and more light, more natural light. We have better privacy components now. We actually have, as you see as you go upstairs, in some of the areas we actually have switchable glass. And so rather than having to pull a blind, the glass actually moves from clear to opaque. The NICU has individual bays now where mom or dad can stay with the baby, and it's not in one big room. So again, some more privacy there. More private rooms. All of our labor and delivery rooms are private. They all contain their own washroom. So, you know, no worries about sharing a washroom with someone else or potentially even having to go down the hall. You may notice when you're out walking around touring, if you look out some of the windows, we have multiple green roofs. This is so when someone is in a bed, and we're finding out through evidence-based research that this is very, very important in ICU rooms. If someone can look out a window and find themselves in a space and see the light and see growth, they can help themselves with time. Because a lot of people will, when they're in a room and if it's not light enough and dark enough, they get a bit confused and can't really figure out what day it might be or what time it is, and this helps people with that. And then up above on the 4th floor, there's access to an outdoor patio that patients, families, staff can utilize. And again, just right out here on the lower level, there's a sunken garden that for patients, families, staff. You can have your lunch out there, et cetera. Do you have people an opportunity for some respite during their day? Families matter too. And through our PFAC and through our family presence policies and a lot of the conversations we've had with families, we looked at some of these things. We've made these patient rooms large enough to accommodate multiple visitors. So not just one family member, but if we have someone whose family might be multiple, they come in for an evening, the space is there. All of the inpatient rooms have either a sleeper, recliner, or some sort of couch that will allow the family to stay over. So we know that we've implemented a family presence policy so that family member can remain in that bedroom at night. And then I mentioned the outdoor spaces. So along with changes in design and technology, we also have a few changes in the way that we're referring to these spaces and the monikers that we're using for these areas. You can see them on this slide here. we're trying to simplify it a bit. So folks will be going to outpatient clinics, or they'll maybe going to the medical clinics. They're going to critical care, etc. This will simplify both the wayfinding and the messaging and communication that we can give to patients, so it's easier for them to find themselves in the new building. And probably some staff too initially. So what is the move-in schedule for our teams to move into the new building? You can see it here. The entire move of the programs and services that are going into this building will happen over one weekend. It starts on the 20th and goes till the 23rd. You can see that we're moving the inpatients. Those are the inpatients from our critical care units and from even women's and children's if need be on the 23rd. They are always live. So when we move a critical care patient, we will move them one by one, and we'll move them from a live operating unit to a new live operating unit. The emergency room, sometimes we will close down one at a certain moment in time, and then we will discharge all the patients from that existing emergency room, and at that same time we open the new one, and anyone new coming in comes to the new emerge. So our go live date, truly to have all of our patients in these spaces, is the 24th of June, which is a Monday. Fortunately or unfortunately, we do have some, depending upon your perspective, we do still have some work happening after we open these units. And this work will happen throughout the remainder of the summer and into the fall. You can see here some of the things on the slide. We will be building a link between the east parking lots and this new building that will go along the face of our existing structure and provide an interior corridor for people to walk so they don't have to necessarily stay outside if they're walking from the east parking through. We're still renovating a few areas in the old or existing building. I shouldn't say old. Maybe that's a Freudian slip because it is coming up on 50 years. But we are renovating the existing lobby, upgrading that. We are, along this new link, we're putting spaces for our foundation friends and some other offices. So people will be able to access the existing facility through that link. And it's just right over here to my right. There's a portion of it now, but that work will continue. As I mentioned before, we're creating some additional parking, and then we have final landscaping to do across the site. And that work will continue through the fall. So today's celebration, and there is cake. For those of you who are online, if you want to come over on Thursday, there will be cake on Thursday too, but there is cake here. We are having our grand opening on the 12th of June. So mark your calendars. It starts at 4:30 in the afternoon. We will have other dignitaries here, etc., to celebrate the opening of this new space. It is about 2 weeks before we open, but it's perfect timing for us to do that. So please mark your calendars and join us for that day because it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so that's my brief overview. I will take questions if we have any. I know folks are online, and if we have any in the crowd, that would be great. Okay. So the question that I have here is, where is dialysis located? In the new patient tower, in the existing, or the EWC? So we will have outpatient dialysis opening up over in the Etobicoke Wellness Center, which I mentioned is just north here. That will be our 30 stations plus our 6 home training stations. That is currently under construction now, and that unit will be ready for patients right before Christmas. But speaking with the team, we are going to be opening after Christmas. We figured it was just a bit of too much to be able to bring patients over during the holidays. So we'll be opening up that unit in January. We are also building inpatient dialysis capability in the existing tower. This was on the 7th floor. We're calling it our inpatient tower unit. And we've taken down a number of rooms to look at what's behind the walls. And when we put that back together, we're going to be having 6 dialysis-supported beds, which in the existing tower we do not have right now inpatient-supported dialysis beds. So with these 2 units opening up, we now, for the first time really in the history of Etobicoke General, will have dialysis available on this site for our community, which is outstanding, and we truly appreciate the support from both the Ministry of Health and the Ontario Renal Network for allowing us to do that. So besides the bit of work that needs to happen with this tower, we also have some additional work happening in the Etobicoke Wellness Center. Any other questions? Are there any questions from the audience? Oh. Next question, when will parking be complete? So as I mentioned, it's always, there's always something about parking. So the parking will be complete later in the summer, and I'm looking for Steve Knight. Oh, Steve's over there for the actual date. Is it what time is the new parking opening? What's the date? Or month? Sorry, October. So in the early fall, that lot will be completed, and we will have all the parking completed. And this is actually a good question, because besides the parking completed, we are actually going to move towards the same type of parking system that we have at both Brampton Civic and Peel Memorial, which is take a ticket for our patients and visitors and pay before you leave. So we won't have the pay and display any longer here on this site. We will actually have the tickets. Also in the parking, we will have a number of electric voltage chargers. So we'll have some out in the front parking lot here. We have a few in the staff parking lot, because again, as we talk about sustainability, we have more and more people driving either hybrids or electric cars, and they need a place to plug in, so we will have that capability in the lots. Oh, another question. Thank you for online. When will we be able to book and use the conference rooms in the new patient tower? So the conference rooms will be bookable and usable after we move all of our patients in. So after the 24th, I know we're working right now with IT around setting up the booking system for these spaces. And so they will be available after we move the patients in on the 24th of June. I know that we have had people clamoring to use them, and we understand that here at Etobicoke, we do not have very many conference rooms. However, we ask for your patience, because as we're still going through deficiency reviews and trying to do a little bit of work here and there wherever, we still have construction workers on site, and we need to utilize the rooms potentially for other things. So if we start booking them now, we potentially have a few issues. So we just ask for your patience until the 24th of June. Alrighty, any more questions? We're good? Anything from the audience? No, okay. So let me just remind you or give you a little bit of information about how the tours will be conducted. We will have tours of every floor. The elevators are just right off here to my right. On every floor, we have volunteers stationed by the elevators. They'll wait for a group of folks, and then they can take you on a tour of that floor. You can tour all the floors if you like, or you can tour one or two, or however you want to do that. The volunteers will take the group, and then they'll bring you back to the elevators, so then you can take the elevators up or down to the next floor. We do, again, have cake and refreshments. Please ask that you maybe have your cake and refreshments here and not take them onto the floors, because we have people screwing around with housekeeping. We'd like to keep it as clean as possible. But if you want another piece of cake or another cup of coffee when you come down, please enjoy. So with this, I'll close off and welcome you to head over to the elevators and take a tour. Enjoy. Thank you.